It was a really rare and unique opportunity to have this many Christmas trees lying around right after Christmas, so I decided to take advantage of that. I planned to take an aerial shot of this sculpture with my brother's drone. Here I am planning out my sculpture. Drawing out all the plans probably took about half an hour. I decided to make a large circle out of snow and a star shape out of Christmas trees, with all the trunks facing into the middle. I really liked the contrast between the white snow and the green trees. I had hoped to use this contrast with the Christmas trees against the snowy background, but since the snow on the ground had melted, I wanted to add this contrast back by adding these tiny little points around the outside of the star. Gathering materials was a challenge, and we received a few confused looks when we were doing it. Our neighbors were very confused and interested in the process and what would come of their Christmas trees. I only needed to collect Christmas trees and snow for this project. Collecting all the materials took roughly 1 hour, because all the Christmas trees were available on my street. Creation. Step 1 was to finely crush the snow and position it in a large circle. Then, in order to make the star shape pop, I added a snow outline to the top of each tree. Next was fitting each tree into its position. The point of the tree had to fit in the little triangles that I had created. The trunks all faced the same way and created a beautiful star. I created this piece over about 1 day. A lot of the other time was spent photographing and setting up the drone in order to take the aerial shots. So here's the final project. I'm really happy with how it turned out. Letting it go. Nothing has really changed. This is a day later. It hadn't snowed or rained, so there was practically no change. Coming back, this is how my sculpture looked after 4 days. Nothing has really changed because there hasn't been any change in weather. I made this sculpture in order to bring attention to consumerism, particularly Christmas trees. In America, 25 to 35 million Christmas trees are cut down each year. According to the National Christmas Tree Association, Christmas trees are grown in all states of America and across Canada. 350 million trees are grown on tree farms, with the most popular tree variety being the Douglas fir. For every 1 Christmas tree that is cut down, roughly 3 saplings are planted in its place. I have not fully decided whether I am for or against the farming of Christmas trees. Here are the pros and cons that I have found. Pro: Christmas tree farms provide suitable habitat for many animals. Though this fact is not completely true, because there are people that argue that certain animals need much more diversity than simply fir trees. Lack of diversity in plants and animals will create a very weak ecosystem. Another con of tree farming is that harmful pesticides and fertilizers are used when farming Christmas trees. These chemicals can be extremely harmful and dangerous to the environment and animals. An important effect that Christmas tree farms have on the environment is the prevention of erosion, a process in which soil is moved by wind or water. The tree's roots keep this process from taking place, which is extremely helpful in the case of preserving cliffs. Lastly, an obvious pro to Christmas tree farming is the process of photosynthesis in which we gain our oxygen. The only 2 problems I encountered in making this sculpture was the lacking change in weather when I made this sculpture, so it didn't really change over time, which was kind of disappointing. As well, neighbors were very confused of why I needed their Christmas trees. Is this a valid art form? I think so. There's art in galleries, and there's art everywhere around us. Picasso created Cubism in order to break down the barriers of what art is seen as. At the time, Picasso may not have been seen as an artist, but today his works of art are masterpieces. The question of what is art often comes up with artists, especially Banksy. Some people don't consider his work art, but the whole point of all these movements was to define what art could be. It really is anything you want it to be. Will I ever do this art form again? Definitely, because I often did it before this project. I created sculptures out of stones on the beach, or the circular shape of my sculpture was inspired by this piece. The strong contrast in this piece inspired me to use green and white as a heavy contrast in my piece. The that I used was inspired by this piece.